Hi everyone! Oh my God, welcome y bienvenidos to Presently Aquí. My name is Claudia and I will be your host. Happy Pride Month to our LGBTQ plus community. Oh my God, I'm so excited to have today's conversation and to start June this way. Amazing! So, I wanted to give you a little bit of history to all of you as we progress in this conversation. Pride Month started in June of 1969 when the Stonewall uprisings took place in New York City. The LGBT plus community rebelled against the law and fought for their human rights. As the riots progressed that summer, an international gay rights movement was born. So, I definitely thought that was really important for all of you to know and understand as we go on to this beautiful conversation. So, for those of you joining me for the first time, I created Presently Aquí to serve as a platform for my Latino community and friends to discover for the first time or dive deeper into your mindfulness journey. Mindfulness is the key that will help you navigate your thoughts and emotions at any given moment by staying in the present moment and being with them fully. The more that you practice staying in the present moment, you'll understand why it's so magical. And slowly you'll become more and more aware of your habits and patterns so that may you adjust to what no longer serves you as you grow through this healing journey. By understanding ourselves better, we create this deep awareness inside that becomes our first step and foundation to self love. So it's pretty important. I always like to take a moment to ask all of you, how are you feeling at this moment? Feel it, be with it. In the spectrum of happy to sad, just know that it's okay where you stand in this moment and know that you are enough and that you are loved. In last month's webinar, the panelists and I discussed mindful money healing, deeply understanding our scarcity mindset and how it's absolutely possible to change our perception to an abundant mindset. Please check out the webinar if you didn't catch it on Facebook and YouTube. So today's webinar, we will be celebrating the LGBTQ plus community as we redefine friendships together. We will be exploring ways to broaden our circle of friends and redefining the traditional way of viewing our current friendships. And just a quick reminder that this is an interactive live session, so please feel free to join in on the conversation or any questions that you may have. The panelists and I will be happy to answer. So without further ado, da-da-da, my first guest is my dear, beautiful friend, and inspiration to me is Hibiscus. Hibiscus is my friend's drag name, which she has been performing in New York City for the last 5 years, and a former Miss Stonewall. See, this is why I gave you that little tidbit. And now you know. Hibiscus is a passionate activist. Dressing in drag is not only a form of artistic expression, but also a political protest. Oh my goodness. Welcome, Hibiscus. Hi. You're muted, my love. You're muted. My love, you're muted.
Oh my
I
God.
love
Okay.
it. Oh my
After a whole year of doing this digitally, you would think I know that the first thing to do is unmute. No, I was so vain that I turned the camera on first.
I love it.
No, but
You look phenomenal, by the way.
thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for having me, and hello to all the viewers.
I love it. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling wonderful. Like it was really sunny, got my errands done, and right when I got home, it started storming, which, everything was perfect timing.
Always, always. I love it. Amazing. All right. I'm going to introduce my next guest. My next guest is a mindfulness kindred spirit, Ezra. Ezra is a personal trainer, a yoga instructor, and an aerialist, and a good aerialist at that. Ezra infuses his passion for mental wellness by including meditation and mindfulness to all his teachings and physical activity in order to maintain a positive mindset. Hi, Ezra. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
Nice to
great.
be here.
So great to have
I actually
you.
just got out of teaching. What'd you say?
I said, so great to have you here today.
Thank you.
Of course. How are you feeling
I
today,
just got
Ezra?
out of teaching. I'm all right. You know, it kind of comes and goes with the weather. When it was
Okay.
beautiful and sunny out, I was able to like get stuff done, and like by the time it started raining, I started like coming down a little bit. So now
Mm.
I'm just trying to keep myself awake, but I'm okay now that I'm here.
Good, good. I'm so glad to have you. Perfect. So I'm going to introduce my third guest. My third guest was sent to me by the universe, the generous Marita Esteva. Marita is an indigenous shamanic teacher and healer trained by the Lakota, Mayan, Aztec, and Hopi traditions. Yes, that is right. Marita specializes in inner child and ancestral healing and is clairvoyant and clairaudient. Welcome, Marita. Hi, Marita.
Mahalo, everyone. How are you? So happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. Thank you for coming. And how are you feeling today?
Good. I'm feeling very good. I ran around the farm before getting on here, feeding the goats. So they're happy. So now I'm happy.
Amazing. And just to let the viewers know that I'm in LA, Hibiscus and Ezra are in New York, and Marita's in Hawaii. So we're all in different, I
Ooh.
know. So we're all in different places, and just to bring all of you magical love and awareness today. So without further ado, Marita, if you don't mind leading us into today's meditation.
Beautiful. This is just going to be a way to kind of set the circle and set the space. This is something that I do. And I love that we're talking about friendship, because the first friends that we have to become are of ourselves. And so this meditation is, we're going to just breathe in and out through the nose. So Ezra knows how important that is to breathe in and out through the nose. It calms and activates our vagus nerve. And we're going to call 3 parts of ourself into the circle. And as you do, just imagine them as unique individual parts. They can show up any way that they want, in drag or not, right? Whatever your personality is, and whichever one is feeling. And they're coming here to the space to be heard, to be listened, and to open ourselves up to that conversation of community and friendship. So let us begin. As you settle into your space, into your bones, into your tissue, into all that is, has been, and will become. Breathe normally until you just get to that place of a deep breath and sigh. Once you do that, we're going to take 3 very intentional breaths in and out through the nose. So let us start. That first breath in and out through the nose, we're calling our mind into this time, into this space. In and out through the nose, let us call our body, this vessel, into this time, into this space. In and out through the nose, let us call our essence into this time, into this space. And as all 3 come in whatever they want to, way they want to, just allow them to sit here in a circle of your heart. And with that, we humbly request Mother Earth to hold this circle for us and grant us the root, reminding us that we are her children, even if we are star children, for she is star as well. As we sit in the circle with all of our parts as best as they can show up, we open up this discussion to true aloha, which means unity, grace, mercy, compassion, and a sustainability that comes from receiving ourselves as individuals so we can become unified. Aho. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Aho. Thank you. That was wonderful. I love starting my webinars with a meditation. So that way we cleanse the day away and start this new conversation, and the listeners can just let it all sink in. Wonderful. Oh my goodness. That was truly lovely. So today's conversation, we're going to be redefining friendships. And the reason that I wanted to have this discussion with the LGBTQ plus community was because as most of you viewers are starting to get an awareness of why I pick certain themes and certain communities for certain discussions, for me, this was important. There is such a big diversity in this community, but friendships are friendships no matter what we look like, no matter where we come from, no matter what our preferences are. Friendships don't change because of what we decide to choose for ourselves in our life. So I definitely wanted to have this wonderful conversation with all of you. So to kick it off, I know this is kind of funny with friendship do's and don'ts, but I just thought it was cute for the screen. However, I decided to name it this. My question is, what are some are your friendship turnoffs and what are your friendship turnoffs? And turn-ons and turnoffs, meaning what are some behavioral or patterns that you don't won't accept, and some that make you click with someone immediately. I'll start with Hibiscus.
One of the I'll start with the turnoffs. Definitely someone who constantly cancel on you. Like
Mm,
time is very precious to me. So if you're gonna make a plan, like I would want, and you need to commit to it. And on top of that, being on time. So like be you don't have to be totally like right on time, but 5, 10, 15 minutes, but don't leave me waiting. And in
mhm.
New York City, like we all use the train as an excuse, but I feel like if you know and expect that that's what's going to happen, you need to plan ahead. So that's like my biggest turnoffs. My biggest like friendship do is absolutely be when you connect with someone and you find that similarity and likability with each other, you just gravitate to them. And so with that said, like I my big do is definitely like when you find that connection is very precious, so always check on those people, even even a simple text message or a phone call, like that definitely makes someone's day, and that makes that there's someone's thinking about them. So even like out of nowhere I get text messages from a friend, and I'm like, oh my god, that felt really good, even though I was not having a bad day, or if I
Mm,
was having a bad day, just hearing that from like a friend that I haven't talked to in a while, or just seeing their name pop up on my phone because they just were thinking about me feels really good. So those are like my biggest do's and don'ts is
Mm.
don't waste my time,
right.
and do like let your friends know if you are thinking about them.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I can't agree more. And I love also, like, we don't get to talk often, you and I, but I loved that you reached out and you're like, I can feel your love from here. And
No,
that
yes.
that was everything. So yes, I completely understand. And I we all understand time, and that's so important. And maybe people don't understand it's about respect. It's not
Mhm.
about being on time. It's just respecting the other person's space they're
Mhm.
holding for you to hang out together. I'll continue. Ezra.
Hey. So I think the first time that I really thought about this was this week. I actually don't have any don'ts. For me, like, I don't want to say I'm chill, but I'm very self-sufficient. So I was an introvert for a lot of my prime years, my preteen years. And then when I started uh, just coming into my own more, um, it was more of learning how to rely on myself, and anyone else around me is just they're just around me, they're going through their own struggles too. And and it's kind of I let it come and go, and I let friendships flow. So I don't rely on anyone
Mm.
else to validate me. But it's also like I don't I don't cling to people, but I also don't push them away, really,
Mm.
ever. It's kind of they come and go, like, and we just intersect at times that work for both of us, and just we intersect not just as far as seeing each other or keeping the friendship alive, but just wherever we find that intersection of where we make good friends is where it is. So I don't need to have anything in particular in common with somebody. I don't need to have anything. I don't need to like see them or like do anything on a regular basis with them. It's just um, we just kind of we come and go, and that's fine with me. And I think the only I had a friend reach out to me the other day who was saying that, I really value your friendship, and if I ever do anything wrong to make you, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything right for us to be friends. And I was telling him, like, listen, friendship is not conditional. If there are conditions to you being my friend, then that's not true friendship. And it's like, you don't have to do anything to keep me as a friend. Like, that's, you know, that's that's not necessary to me. And it's like, I would never want someone to feel like they have to do something in order for me to respect our relationship. We're friends just because we're friends, and that's just it. And sometimes you're able to do things for me, and sometimes I'm able to do things for you. Sometimes you mess up or do something or whatever, and it's like, that's fine. Like, this relationship is about mutual respect and mutual enjoyment of each other's company and enjoyment of having each other in our lives, and that's really it. Like, even if someone does something to, like, really make me mad, I don't believe in throwing anybody away. That if it gets to the point of just our friendship just becomes a little bit more separated, then that's fine. But I don't think there's any specific turn offs and no specific turn ons. It's just, we found each other, we work well together, and it's hard to explain. Like, it's hard to put a pin in what exactly makes that relationship work or what makes that relationship doesn't work. It kind of exists, and to be okay with that flow and not having a particular thing to pin down, like, this is what's holding our friendship together,
Right,
and
right,
this is what isn't holding our friendship together. And
right,
that's just, it's not necessary to find that pin.
right, right. I love that answer, Ezra. I think I appreciate that. That's beautiful, letting it flow, and friendships shouldn't have a condition, right? Because everything else is conditional. The family that we don't get to choose, or the coworkers that we also don't get to choose, or so it's beautiful that you have this way of respecting it and valuing it and letting it be how it's supposed to. That's beautiful. Marita, did you want to add?
Sure, why not? I'll add. I think what I love, what Hibiscus and Ezra brought up, were two realms of how we can talk. The doing of friendship and the being of friendship, right? And we all have our definitions of what a friendship means and how close we get to people and what that means. We just do, right? And I think for myself, if we speak on a kind of a macro perspective to a micro perspective, it's about authenticity and curiosity. If someone is authentically themselves, if they're curious, right, not stuck in like this viewpoint of how to be, then we have what Ezra has, is speaking to. He's speaking to that flow and that creativity of how people change. And we also have Hibiscus, being able to accept, like, hey, it's respect. Time is respect, and that's how it is. So I like to look at that authenticity and curiosity. And also, I think it's important to let people know what those are, what those things are, so that they can act within. They're not trying to guess, So I think that's important. So communication.
Yeah, definitely. I can't agree more. I think that the friendships, it's how it pertains to you, right? And the friend and the relationships that we grew up with, and as we are teenagers and early 20s, just figuring out what do friends are, and what are the differences between family and friends, and or if any bad experiences with friends or strangers, how you're able to heal that and also still friends. Because I've never heard of anyone to this day have a bad friendship and say never again, no more friends. That's not a thing, and that's beautiful, because that's how it should be with all relationships, right? It shouldn't be just conditional to the lovers that we have. Oh, well, this person never again. That's like, but we don't do that for friends, so let's not do that for the relationships that we're trying to have with others. So thank you, all of you. That was beautifully all said, and I love it. So the next topic, wanted to talk about balanced friendships, right? How important is it to have a balanced friendship? The value of being heard and seen. how important is that to you, to have that value of being heard and seen? Because some friendships may not know what that is. Some people may not know what that is, and how important is that for you to have? Ezra, I'll start with you.
So I think what you're asking is, how important is it that I receive the same amount of, I guess, respect and attention that I give?
Or the value of
It's
being
actually, again,
valued and
it's
seen.
so feeling as valued myself as I feel I'm giving value to someone else. It again, it's really not that important to me. Um, like if I'm giving more in a relationship than I'm getting, um, kind of that's fine because I come from a mutual aid perspective of maybe this person needs more and maybe I just don't need as much, or I have more to give than they have to give. And I can sense that where it's like someone might rely on me more than I rely on them, and that's fine. And even if I need to switch it up and I need to rely on them, but they're not in a position where they can give more, then I have to kind of accept that because you can't force someone to give more than they have. And if the roles were reversed, where I wished I could give more to someone who was asking for more but just can't, it wouldn't be that I don't value that person. It would just be I'm not in a position right now either, um, whether it's mentally, financially, time wise. If I can't give, then I can't give, and I wouldn't want them to hold that against me. And having been around people with different needs, particularly when we're talking about mental health, I understand when people just can't give anymore. And even if I've given them so much attention, so much help, I went into that knowing that they may never be able to meet, to pay me back, I guess. That, if I'm always there for someone, it's because I have the time and I have the energy and I have the mental stability to be able to give more. And
Right.
you don't give with the intention of receiving back. So for me, I'm in that mindset.
Beautiful, beautiful. Marita, we'll continue with you.
Yeah, no, I love what Ezra said. Thank you, Ezra. I think it's really about also, like you said, having that, conscious mindset, right? Of like, am I giving out of because I want to or because I feel like I need to? So I think that kind of taps into that. When it comes to balanced friendships, I think it's just recognizing again the diversity of what people are capable of. I mean, in all honesty, when I saw the topic of this friendships, I was like, wow, I can probably count what I would consider friends on one hand, to a certain degree. I have a lot of people that I'm in community with. I have a lot of people that are in different realms of that community. In the one friendship that I could give, true would be my wife, who is my best friend. And then there is a give and take. And sometimes it's one is doing more than the other, but the balance, it doesn't have to be in that moment.
Right.
I see it over an expansion of time. And I think it's also then adding value, like adding that value to, again, the value doesn't come from the doing, but from the being, right? So if you accept this person for who they are at that time in that place, then that's value enough,
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. I mean, both of you are just hitting it out of the park, and I'm falling in love. Hibiscus, your take on balanced friendships?
Balanced friendship, I tend to care too much, especially for other people. So a little bit of both what Marita and what Ezra has said. Like you get like I don't always expect the same amount from certain friends because mentally and physically they may not be able to do it, and at the same time it is more of the being and not the doing, like Marita brought up. But I do have like being involved in so many different communities and different groups, I have developed friendship with so many people, and I find most of them are very balanced and valued equally. It's just sometimes I'm more aware of someone's behavior that I know that I have to kind of, I know I care too much for them, so I know I'm gonna like carry a little bit more responsibility to make sure they are always well mentally and physically, especially when you're just going out for like a good time. So I think for the most part, my friends do that with me too. Like I have friends that say like, "Oh, this person is busy right now, so I hope you're resting, girl." So I feel like I look out for my friends definitely as much as they look out for me, and that was like a good point of what Marita said. It's definitely more of the being and like not so much just doing, because you can only do so much for one another.
Absolutely. I really love how all of you are saying that. It's about the being and holding the space for all of us, and how you understand that everyone can't give or receive the same way that we do, right? So, and having that understanding, and also having the communication to tell your friends, right? That's so important. So that way everyone's not needs are met, but having the understanding, so that way there isn't any what is that word I'm trying to think, like passive aggressiveness or something, the unspoken word, right?
Yes.
And that always gets weird, and it's so important to have that open communication. So that was so beautiful. I truly appreciate all of you. Thank you. And so why I started this to redefine our friendships, this was really important for me. So my question is, for someone wanting to be open to new unexplored friendships, you understand where I'm going with this, in the LGBTQ plus community, what advice can you give someone to overcome the conditioned fear that they can't, or they don't know how to be friends with someone that's different from their background or middle of America, let's say, you know what I mean? So they just want to become open to just trying to let go of what was taught and trying to be friends with another human, basically, but in their minds they can't process that in that way. Marita, I'm gonna let you start.
No, I get the hard one, no?
Everybody went for I don't.
No. Thank you so much. No, that's fine. I have a day job where it takes me all around the United States, and I have to be in multiple situations and in groups that might not be as welcoming, and I think what it is if you actually take the time, right, one by one, to have discussions with people, they just recognize that people are people, right? And I guess then what it is taking the time. Again, going back to having curiosity instead of going into that reaction of fear. And I think that reaction of fear is, I don't know how to deal with this person because I haven't resolved things inside of me first. So what I love that this whole group is kind of having a conversation about, and it takes us back to our 3 breaths, is there's a resolution of, we are different. We have different parts. We come in different ways. We have the ability to come to the table with all of that, with that curiosity and with that acceptance of our mind, our body, our essence, our sexuality, our shadow and things like that. And so I think that's what I would say to people is, be curious instead of fear. Be curious. I've coined this term. It's called CCP: courage, curiosity, and play. And when you see yourself coming up to a reaction that you're used to having, you can see it a mile away, right? And you step back, and instead of having that reaction, you get curious about it. I'll give you an example. Your gas tank, right? We'll be very simple here, right? Your gas tank's running on the empty, and you're like, you can go into that fright. Oh my God. And of course, New Yorkers don't think about this because they don't drive. But the train's running late, okay?
I drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ezra does. Okay. Well, I'm trying to find the common ground here, right? So let's do the running late, right? Because I know that's important to all of us, our time. You can go into that fear of, oh my God, someone's going to think ill of me or this or whatever you go into, or you can stop, be curious. And instead of going into that self-shame or whatever that you go to, have courage to be like, maybe there's a different way to deal with this situation, whether it's a gas tank, whether it's a train running late, or a person that you don't know that comes from a different background. And get curious, and then get playful. What would you do, right? Remember when you were a kid, you know, remember like the playfulness of like, oh, maybe it's just a game of like being on a panel and answering questions and getting to know us then, or like, what would it be? Or be like, you know, like, be curious, be playful about it, you know, and then you'll get out of your own way by starting to create new neural pathways. It takes 400 repetitions of something to create a neural pathway. With fun, it's 20.
Oh, wow.
Cut down the work. So playfulness and how of like approaching stuff like, oh, there's someone, I don't know who they are, I'm gonna get all and be like, ooh, what language are they speaking? Look at what they're wearing. Oh my God, don't they look fabulous? Oh, this is interesting.
Right.
And then add the playfulness. You'll be able to, you know, cut a few corners.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. I love that. Because what the problem is the inner child that's holding them back. So you're talking about that. You're talking about their childhood of being that curiosity and allowing that child to ask those questions that you normally give a 10-year-old, 7-year-old. If you don't tell them or condition them, what were they going to do? Their mind's going to be curious. Oh, why? Oh, ooh. How did you do your makeup? How did you, you know, how are you able to do this move? Or how are you able to anything, just whatever it is. And that's how you're able to connect, right, to another person, another human. And it's so powerful too, because what this community is, it's interesting because all of you are just people, but the stigma is that you have a community because of your sexual preference. It's not even like how you eat or how, you know, like being vegan, or like there's always a box in this society somehow, right? And somehow it becomes everyone's business, but it isn't. And we are all just people wanting to be friends and connect and learn from each other and have a great time and love and share that, you know. So that was beautiful, Marita. Thank you. Hibiscus, my question to you again, how how to be open to unexplored friendships, especially in this community, for someone who's never explored or been around this community at all.
Well, I love what Marita had to say. I'm definitely gonna have to use that more because I'm so very stuck in my ways. I will admit that now. Where I never like judge anyone just but on the first, and you know, but like in my mind, I'm always like, I need to allow myself to be curious more, is what I'm trying to say. Yes. But one thing I always do that I like, that's how I connect with a lot of people, is definitely always approach any situation with kindness and love.
Right.
Like that's like my first rule, and I think that's how I got close to our mutual friend Claudia. Even though they had a stank face the first time I met them, because they just have a natural resting bitch face. I always like just go up to people and be like, hi, how are you? You know, like a smile definitely changes someone's mood or makes you more approachable next time if they want to talk to you. So that's one thing I have to like say, is always approach anyone or anything with kindness and love, because the moment you have any negativity tone in your voice or in your face or in your body language, that is not a way to make friendship. You know, I always say like, be light, be bright, be kind. That's what I always say. And if you want to approach any situation, I find myself performing in a room filled with people, and one of the before the pandemic in 2019, I got to go to the University of Idaho, and it was definitely different than being in New York and in front of the people and seeing that there are queer kids in these, like, you know, smaller states, and they really look forward to this community. So like, and having to talk to a lot of them, even like little kids, parents who brought their kids to the university, it was very inspiring. And like representation does matter. So if they see that someone like them can be nice and not just, you know, like a total bitch, like people might portray us for so long in TV, or we're the bad guys on TV, you know, like if they see that someone is just as positive and so inspiring, that is like that's what matters to me. Like I
Mhm.
had two little kids that I had in Idaho, and I still kept their letters, and they were very
Mm,
inspired. So like it's moments like that that make me keep going and doing what I do and spreading the love. And yeah, so what I have to say is I would definitely have to take what Marita said and have to be more curious more. But what I always do is smile and be kind and approach them with positivity, positive energy.
yeah, yeah. I'm Jackie loves your honesty. Thank you,
Thank you,
Jackie.
Jackie.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here, right? To learn from each other. This is the example right now. Like, all right, Marita said this. Oh, you know what? Or Ezra said that. You know what? Even everything, just everything that everyone said is even touching me with my friendships or new ones. It doesn't matter where where we're connecting, but there is moments that we do have apprehension. For me, is the male gender, right? For me, I'm just, and I had a moment where, when you get approached, I would have my resting bitch face, and I changed that a few years ago, and I was like, you know what? Let's just, what Marita said, let's be curious and have fun, and like, they're coming with an intent that I already know, so I already won half the battle. Why enforce that, right? And just be, hey, hi, nice to meet you, that's wonderful, thank you, but no, and just move it on, instead of having that reservation. So thank you. Ezra, what would you like to add to the unexplored friendships?
So again, piggybacking off of what Marita said was, um, I think curiosity is really a valuable way to go about it. Um, I think that the best thing to do is to just show up, is to just come and observe at first,
Mm,
and just be present in an actual space,
mm,
and then let things go from there where they go. So um my story is that I only realized I was trans last year, and in realizing I was trans, I also realized that I'm gay and that I'm also asexual and aromantic. And before last year, I just thought I was like a boring cis het woman that, like, from Long Island, that's just like um like the inner part of me has to be suppressed for the sake of convenience, both my convenience and the convenience of others. So when I was in high school, well before I realized that I was trans, uh, I had homophobic feelings. Like, I didn't understand what it meant to be gay or queer or trans or anything like that. Um, but my friends invited me to come to the gay club, the high school GSA. Even though I kind of like didn't understand it, but I'm like, well, I'm being invited in, and my friends are going, so let me just go. And from there, it's like you start to build these relationships just by being there. Even if you're shy, like, someone will come up to you and you'll just chill, or you'll find like common ground in other things. And then from there, it might take a while to like really learn and understand, but that's part of the beauty of it, is that you're learning as you go, that you're you're entering this space because you you have a genuine desire to be a part of, just whether it's this person's life, whether it's this club, whether it's this community. As long as that genuine interest is there, just go, just
mm,
show up, come
mm,
come to Pride, come to queer spaces. And I would say it's okay to be wrong. You
mm,
know, it don't come in with the expectation that marginalized people, or the people who this space is built for, are going to kind of correct you or coddle you. Like, don't have that expectation that everyone is going to want to be the one to reach out to you to bring you in, but there will be someone there who does. um
mm,
and it's okay to not dive right in, to just come in and observe, to just like
right,
just listen, to just come in and
right,
just be present, just listen. And then eventually relationships will build naturally from there. Like, don't
right,
force anything, really. if you know that this is a community that you don't know a lot about, or you don't know all the rules, or this is a person that you don't know how to interact with, that's fine. Just listen first.
Right.
just
Right.
just learn how to interact with this person before you actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then even if you're wrong, for the most part, as long as you approach this community or this
Mm-hmm.
person with, oh, I'm sorry, I
Right.
didn't know, but I want to know.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, exactly, be a student, be open to learning. And
Right.
if someone is not ready to reach their hand out to you, don't take it personally. Just be like, oh, okay, and just kind of maybe listen as to why they're not ready to reach their hand out to you yet. And that's fine, because as
Right.
long as you keep showing up, you keep
Mm.
showing up in these spaces, protests, into as long as you show up to something like this, then
Mm.
you will find your way through what friendships are working for you, how you can be a part of this community. Maybe you realize something about yourself that you didn't know just by being there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a matter of, I need to know how to interact with a queer person before I do it. It's show up for that interaction first, and then see how it goes. And then,
Yeah.
that builds on to more and more things. And then you end up like me, where you go from being, just a regular cis het woman to being now the king of queers, being trans, gay, asexual, and aromantic. And I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't have just started just coming to the spaces, you know, and just existing
Right.
and
Right.
letting
No,
things
it's
happen the way that they were meant to happen.
That's beautifully said, Ezra. I mean, that was beautiful, and it comes from an introvert. I mean, that's great advice. Like that's amazing. It's beautiful, beautiful. For me, I was raised by a masculine, energetic woman, so I learned femininity from drag. I swear, I learned my femininity. That's why I'm so inspired by her, just watching Hibiscus all the time. Just like, oh my God, I need to get better at my closet and my makeup. I like, what is happening? So, it's just, I love everything you said. Just like, you don't know what you're going to discover about yourself. In any community, the Black community, the Latino community, the LGBTQ plus community, there's so many communities that you're just not going to know until you put yourself there. And I love what you said, Ezra, about just being there. Just show up, sit there, and let it just see how you feel. If someone comes over, great. If no one comes over, it's just about the curiosity, the play that Marita was saying, right? Just being open. And I'm really happy I asked this question, because all of you really just went in to a place where people need to hear what this is, and what the conditioning is. Just not letting it be there, not let it be forefront when you approach any community, right? Just being open and just allowing yourself to be curious and absorb and just be, and just I love it. Thank you all. That was just phenomenal. Because non-gender pronouns are fairly new. Do either of you have like if it bothers you if someone doesn't know what the right pronouns are to address you? Is that something that again, coming back to the friendship turnoffs, right? It's not a turnoff. I'm just saying, like, if it's, do you take the time to educate, or you just let it fly? I'll start with you, Hibiscus.
For me, a lot of people do like want to know what my pronouns are, especially drag or out of drag, and I respect it when they ask first instead of just assuming. I think that's the best way to go about it today. Is like, hi, I'm so and so, and it's so nice to meet you. What pronouns do you go by? And like obviously in drag, I prefer she, her, and out of drag, he, him. But they, them always works. And I'm not offended if someone, like especially nightlife, when they see me out of drag, they still call me a she because they know hibiscus, not personally, not Eli personally. So
Right, right,
I'm,
right,
yeah, for me, that doesn't upset me so much, but for
right.
my fellow like friends, especially my trans friends, and I want people to know that it's okay to make a mistake, or it's okay to ask first.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Ezra, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I still get misgendered a lot because I'm still fairly early in my transition.
Mm,
So I have a pretty thick skin. Like,
mm,
I shouldn't have to, but it's not something that I let bother me if they accidentally use she, her. But what I find I really value is that when someone does make a mistake and they just correct it. And it's like,
mm,
it's nice, especially if I didn't have to say anything, because this happened to me recently with people that I haven't seen in a long time.
right.
It was their first time seeing me as he, him, so
Mm-hmm.
they used she, her, but then immediately corrected, and I'm like, oh, it means a lot to me that they're like, it's not the mistake that matters, it's how they react after. um
Right.
and then coming up to me after and saying, hey, um your transition is very inspiring, and if I used any wrong pronouns, like, I'm sorry, and just to be sure. And it's like, honestly, when I'm around gay men, um and a lot of gay men like to use she, her, like, ironically, I like that because I want you to see me as another gay man. So it's kind of like, it's not the pronouns themselves that necessarily get me, it's the
Mm,
intention and
mm,
the reaction uh post, because I misgender people a lot, and I know that, like,
mm,
that's something that I have to fix, and it's my responsibility to do that. um but I can see it, if I can see it in someone else, that they're like, oh man, I still got to work on this. It's like, that's fine. As long as call me he, him at some point, or
mm,
it's like, I get the intention behind another gay guy using she, her, like,
right.
just as a way of, like, we're still playing with gender, like, we're
Right.
both gay men, like, having a kiki or whatever, and you're using she,
Mm,
her, and it's like, yay, that validates me a lot. So it's all
right.
about the intention.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that's so important. The intention is the first thing that you feel before people open their mouths. So that's really, truly important, Ezra. Thank you. Marita, did you want to add?
I've been misgendered all my life. When I had beautiful breasts, I always got he, and then I had top surgery, and now I get she all the time. So I'm just like, it doesn't. It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
interesting. So for me, it's just, again, it's just like, if after a few times you stated that you like to be called by a certain pronoun and that doesn't happen, then it's just like, okay, like, are you capable of it? And if you're not capable of it, then I have to make a decision.
Right,
I have to make a decision, and it's my responsibility for that, right? It's
right,
my responsibility to make a decision whether I'm going to continue in this space or not,
right.
or say something. So I think it's kind of it's always a two-way street,
Mm,
and we always have to be responsible for our reactions
right.
and our inaction as well. If we decide not to, and we're just going to let it fly this time, and then after the 100th time you're like, I'm going to lose my mind, well, you should have taken
Mm,
action as well. So I
right.
think you have to just know what is comfortable for you, and that
Mm,
changes in situations, like Ezra said,
right.
and Hibiscus shared as well. And so if you're fluid with it, maybe allowing that fluidity and teaching people about that fluidity is really what's important to be able to teach. It's not like,
Right.
it's not set in stone. And
Right.
so come ride the waves with us.
Right. Right. Definitely. And I wanted to touch on the pronouns and alchemy. So I know a lot of arguments are like, oh, but everybody has masculine and feminine. I'm like, yes, alchemically, yes, we all do, right, Marita? I know you can agree with me, but in the gender realm, that's not so. We can be whatever we want, but the energy is there because that's alchemically how it's made. But it doesn't. Tell me, please,
Well,
Marita.
well, I mean, coming from indigenous practices and indigenous
Yeah,
people,
tell me.
there hasn't always been just one or the other. There's always been the
Mm-hmm,
third, which is the creation of the coming together of everything. And
mm-hmm,
beyond that, and indigenous communities have recognized trans people,
mm-hmm,
LGBTQ of all kinds. It's
mm-hmm.
it's it's normal. It
Right.
Yeah.
was colonization it was colonization that changed that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I live on the island of Hawaii, and before that, I was in San Francisco, and I was thinking, wow, I just had top surgery. Am I going to go to a place that's going to be okay? You know, and I looked it up, and Hawaii is one of, between New York, San Francisco, and Hawaii, they're like the highest rated gay welcoming communities, and it's because it's the culture of Hawaii. They have culture that is, it's normal. It's normal to not be normal if we're talking about the heteronormative. Right. And so for me, I struggle with that because I come from teachings that are genderless to a certain degree. You know, I come from teachings that there is a respect, that there's the creativity can look differently, but we don't have to, they're not dishonored, you know? So, so I like opening up that space even more, because even if you look at Old English, and I won't diverse too much, even old English, you know, people use they, them all the time. It was normal. Like you spoke to each other and they, them. If you come and speak Spanish, you speak in vos, right? And there is a way that is kind of accepting of all genders and equality in that. So, so I struggle with that, and I do get a little, you know, Latin about it, you know, but but I think it's bringing all parts of yourself.
Absolutely.
You know?
You're in Hawaii, and like old Hawaiian, they do believe in that spiritual people that embodied both feminine and masculine features, and they were the healers of you know, an old Hawaiian legend. So you're like in the perfect place for this.
Yes. Come visit.
Yes, I know they call them mahu growing up, and that it was such a negative thing growing up. But I've recently learned that the word really comes from you know, the old Hawaiians, and how mahus were people that embodied both feminine and masculine, and the old Hawaiians seek to them for answers and for healing.
Yeah, because of the unity of everything. So yeah, so there you go. Ezra, want to join in?
So sorry.
No, I love this. I love that.
I'm
like, thank you. You know, because I kept forgetting the name, and you found it for me, Hibiscus. So thank you.
Love it.
I think what's interesting for this is that there's no, you can't put masculine and feminine in a box. You can't pinpoint it. Like, gender isn't real. Masculine and feminine aren't real. They're just, these are words that we have attached to certain experiences, that we can pull it out of thin air and make it whatever we want. That, you know, these are all just things that humans made up to help kind of structure our mind around our experience. And in my personal experience, I find that I'm able to more embrace the feminine in this body that I'm in now, in being a man and embracing my manhood. I'm able to more so embrace the femininity that's always been there, but didn't know how to channel it, because I felt like I didn't want to channel femininity in a fake body. I didn't want to be feminine in a woman's body. I wanted to be feminine in a man's body. You know, I wanted to wear the clothes I'm wearing and still have pink nail polish. And I wanted to, I wanted to be able to embrace the masculine and feminine in my own way, and not do it in a way that I felt pressured to. So.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, there's lots of great gems in this conversation. There's so many things for everyone to learn, everyone to take in and be curious about, because there's a lot that we're all learning from each other. I think the growth is, as we all know, it doesn't end. So we can't know everything, and things are always constantly changing. And I think what I took from all of you, it's okay to be wrong, but just make the conscious effort to learn the first time you are wrong, right? Don't continue to make the same mistake in disrespecting this community. because then you're just pretending at this point, right? So I really thank you so much. I mean, that was really beautiful, and I was curious about the question because I know a lot of people are, and it wasn't something I was thinking of asking, but I know it's a common misconception of, what do I say, how do I call them, they, he, her, but, and I love that Marita brought, even in Latin, in Spanish, vos, for the Spanish community, if you don't know how to explain it to the elders, vos already exists. So that's already leading you to an open conversation with your abuelitos or your parents, So these words already exist. It's just the way that colonialism has shaped the way we live today. And so it's new to some, but it's not new to the creation of life. So that was really beautiful. I can't thank you enough, and I want to thank Jackie. She's been such a wonderful audience member, and thank you. I worked hard. I did work hard. My resting bitch face to go away. Thank you. But she's just been so beautiful and just messaging us and watching. And my friend Christine, thank you, Christine. Thank you. But with that said, beautiful souls, please let the audience know where they can find you if they have any questions, or if you're open to Hibiscus, where can people find you, and what is it that you're offering to your community?
You can find me at It's Hibiscus, and the thing that I offer, I thought like drag was just gonna be a hobby for a while, but like the more I've learned, and like what we all do, we have a computer in our hand all day. Educate yourself about the community. I've learned so much, and I've gotten closer to the community because of it. I've also learned like where drag began, and that's what inspired me to really win that title of Miss Stonewall, is to give back. And that's why when I won the platform, I set a precedent to give back to the community instead of just wearing a crown because you will get the booking and you look pretty or whatever. But I like to say that anytime you're in drag, it is a protest, It's a moment to have people listen to you and have them hear you, and really, like, why not say things that really mean to benefit the community other than saying thank you for voting, No, let's say things that will actually benefit the community. And that's why I like to say, like, I love doing drag because I have that power to inspire and have people, listen to you and use your words wisely when you have that platform.
Beautiful, beautiful. Ezra, where can people find you, and what do you offer your community?
So you can find me at Ariel_anarchist on Instagram. That's really the combination of both of my passions. Fitness and performing have helped me find my gender, and they help me just get all of this energy from the inside and bring it out. And then channeling all of that energy that I've built up through fitness and training and putting that um, radical politics and queer liberation. You take care of your body, you take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. You take care of your body, you take care of yourself so that you can be strong enough to lift other people up. And Circus and Ariel are queer. They have their history is rooted in queerness and in being misfits and outcasts and building community and passion out of marginalization. So that's where I find the intersections of everything that I love.
Beautiful, beautiful. Marita?
And my DMs
Yes,
are open, so feel free to come in.
I'm
Beautiful.
excited to connect with Hibiscus and Ezra later, because I definitely one day will do a drag, and Ezra definitely love Ariel, so I'm very excited about all of this. Maybe I'll do an Ariel drag. That would be interesting. But you can find
do
me.
it.
Let's do it, right? So you can find me at the Path of IX, which is Mayan for Ish, which is Jaguar. I actually am going to have, it's open to everyone. Would love to see you. How to sit in ceremony. It's about in 2 weeks on Friday, donation based. Everything goes back, of course, to the land. And this is just about, what is this path that I teach? What are these teachings that I teach? How is this way of living in ceremony really a path of radical self-love? And as we know, radical self-love and acceptance, just like drag, is a protest.
That's right. Beautiful. Beautifully said. Thank you so much. I hope that today's webinar helps some of you gain a deeper insight into what friendships really are about and not what they look like. Hopefully, it helped you gain confidence in creating new unexplored friendships. Tune in next month's webinar where I'll be discussing with my guests why laughter is the best medicine and our best defense mechanism. If today's episode resonated with you in any way, please subscribe, like, or share. At Presently Aqui, available on all social media platforms. We also accept gratitude donations via Venmo at Presently Aqui. Thank you again to today's beautiful souls, Hibiscus, Ezra, and Marita, for sharing your light and presence with us today. And a great big thank you to the audience. Thank you all. And my wish for all of you is to find the courage and strength to start the path to self-love, because we all deserve it. Thank you all. Have a beautiful day. Much love. And don't forget that the breath is the secret, and always lead with love.